Hello, thanks so much for joining me. Today, I want to talk a little bit about something that you have been hearing all over the radio and Spotify and pretty much everywhere for the last, year or two. It is a technique in pop music called vocal chopping. So, as you just saw in the intro video, I'm going to be talking about a specific technique that I use. It's like the quick and dirty way to get those vocal chop effects that you hear everywhere. Now, I do use some other techniques to do vocal chop effects, but I particularly like this one because it has a performance aspect to it, which can yield some creative results as opposed to like sitting at your DAW and chopping things up manually and pitch shifting them. Like, that's fun, but this can sort of spice things up by allowing you to just mess around with things in real time. So without further ado, let's head on into the computer and I'll show you how it works. Alright, so this is a track that I'm working on that may or may not have been very much inspired by Childish Gambino's This Is America. It's not anywhere near as dark, but if you haven't checked that song out yet, definitely do that. It's just similar, I guess, in the way that it uses some traditional African instruments, and I really like the sound of them. So here's a little sample of the track. Alright, so obviously, not the same song, just sort of was inspired by that song. So what I wanted to do was put in some sort of chopped vocal because I thought it could use something that's sort of organic and natural, sort of like that thing that comes in the beginning, which I, like filtered and put some sort of dub delay on it. So I went to Splice, which also check out if you don't have Splice. It's $10 a month, and you have access to all of these awesome samples. I often find something here when I'm stuck. So you can just literally come on here, go to female vocals, just go down and grab anything. There's a pretty wide variety. A lot of the sounds are pretty big and processed already. So oftentimes they're difficult to fit into mixes, but that said, if you're stuck, you can really find some useful stuff. But I just went on and grabbed a sample, and let's see if I can find it here. So here's Splice, and it was this one, I believe. Nope, not that one. This one. Yep, that's the one. All right. So what we're going to do is just go ahead and drag this down into a track. No, I don't want to open up Media Gobbler. Just going to drag it out here to the end. And then what I'm going to do is actually, you can see right here, this is set to cut the waveform at the transients, which a transient is just like a peak sound, right? Like transients in a voice would be the t and the k, like consonant sounds. And in drums, it would be the initial attack of a snare drum. But what I'm going to do is just go ahead and cut this at wherever the transients are currently registering, because you can adjust the sensitivity of this, right? But it gives you kind of nice random way of cutting the track, so you get a variety of samples. As you can see, some are really long, some are really short, and you just go through like this, cut the whole thing. All right, can go ahead and delete the first one, and then what you're gonna do is literally just come down and export each individual soundbite. I do this in Digital Performer. I'm not sure how it works in other DAWs, but I'm sure there is a pretty easy way to do it. let's see, under samples. So I've actually already done this. I just wanted to show you the process. Where is it? Custom samples, vocal chops. Yeah, right here you can see I already chopped it up and I have all of my individual samples right there. So I'm not going to go through with the rest of the process. I'm just going to go ahead and disable this track. It's already disabled. Cool. All right. Then what you're going to do, this is the fun part, is you are going to put in some sort of drum machine. In my case, I'm going to be using battery. All right. And then what you're going to do is browse for the samples, browse for the files here. And as you can see, this is the last thing that I just did. So I have them right here. And what I can do is highlight them and just drag them on in there. Cool. And I have them there, and I can just use my MIDI controller to control them. Pretty cool. And then what I like to do to sort of randomize it a little bit more is I just go through and start throwing the pan pots around. Sorry if that's a little loud. Right, just get some sort of random but relatively even distribution of panning happening. And then I actually, after I do a passive panning all of them, I just randomly select some of them and reverse the waveform. So you end up with even a little bit more randomness to it. And that's fun. You can go through and trim individual samples if like the cutoff is clipping a little bit and getting some artifacts that are unwanted. But as you can see, it's pretty fun and easy to just go in and do that. Let's see, I'm not gonna go ahead and finish that because I've already done it and I have them all right here. So all I did was I threw a delay and a reverb on that. And then you can just go ahead and play it. And oh, an important piece of information that I left out is that it needs to be in the same key, right? The sample that you find. If it's not in the same key, you can always transpose it to a certain extent. I think this one I actually did transpose. It was not originally in this key. But it fit the vibe that I was going for, so I used it. You can also record your own vocal chops, and you can find a huge variety on Splice, so just wanted to put that out there. Remember, in the key, please. All right, and then you can just go through and play it. You know, you can just have a ton of fun with it. And here I am going to play it with the track now. All right, well, that's it for me. Thanks so much for joining me, and I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I hope it gave you something new to try out or a new way to look at a problem you already had. If there are any questions that you have about it, just go ahead and leave those down in the comments below. Also, let me know if you have any suggestions for future videos Thanks so much for watching. I appreciate it, and I'll see you next time.